Well, good afternoon. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Tourist Development Council. It's June 10th, 2021, and the time is 2 o'clock. Let's begin this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated, and can we please call the roll? Here.
John McLean.
Here.
Fran Meyer.
Here.
Rexanne Hossafrost.
Present.
Pamela Cronin.
Happy to be here.
Tony Lappy. Here. Colleen DePasquale.
Here.
Bill Wachulis.
Here.
Brian Kramer.
Here.
We do have quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. The first item on today's agenda is the meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments or additions or deletions to the minutes? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Okay, motion from Ms. Cronin and the seconds from Councilman McLean. Do you have any further discussion on that? Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion carries unanimously. We'll begin with the public to be heard. I'll turn to the audience. Would you raise your hand if anyone's come to speak today? Okay, seeing none, then we will skip forward to the next part, municipalities to be heard. Has anybody from any municipality come to be heard today? Raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, then we will. Ms. Cronin, yes.
I'm not a municipality, but may I just say something, because I'm afraid he might leave before we get a chance to say this. I am so excited. It's not a municipality, but it's the airport. And, you know, as we all know, Ben Siegel always comes to our meetings, and we're so proud of him and so happy that he was named our executive director. But not only that, he was named the FAA Director of the Year. And we are so proud of that. And he has done such a fabulous job.
Way to go, Bill.
Oh, excuse me, one more thing. What was it that you announced at the last meeting? What was the percentage that was up over last year? I think it was like 2,000?
Over 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, for the record, we were up over 2,000% for the last month.
That was pretty easy.
Yeah, that was easy.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
but still, it's a lovely number.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you. Congratulations.
Very appropriate recognition. And Ben, thank you for the hard work and the entire team at the airport, too. That's just a reflection of you and the entire team that we have out there that does a great job. So thank you. Okay. All right. Seeing no municipalities to be heard, then, we will welcome the star of the show, Ms. Pygott, our Executive Director.
Thank you very much. Similar to what you're seeing at the airport, increase in bed tax collection for the month of April, obviously over 2020, but I think more importantly, look at that increase over 2019, almost 5.7 million if we're rounding. More than 1,000% over 2020, but a 45.9% increase over 2019. So very positive numbers for April.
Pause that for a second. A 46% increase over 2019. And wasn't 2019 a record?
It was.
So this is by far probably the best year then that we've had, or best April anyways?
Correct.
That we've had ever?
Best April ever.
We even had an earlier Easter this year than we did in 2019, which is a huge factor in rate.
So to say we're 1,000% better than we were last year is even an understatement. We're absolutely 1,000% better, and 46% better than we've ever been. So that's fantastic. Very good. Thanks, Tim.
Yep, absolutely. In terms of bed tax year to date, for the current fiscal year, we are up 18.8%, but I will add that, again, compared to fiscal year 2019, we are up 10%. So, and as you said, fiscal year 2019 was our best fiscal year. So potentially, if things continue, we will be beating that best year ever. Star report, similar good news there. Occupancy for the month of April, 80.6%. Boy, I know that feels good to see that 80 number for April. ADR at 190.35 and RevPAR at 153.45. And of course, we expect that to be over April of 2020, but good to see it over April of 2019 as well. And then similarly, on the key data side, occupancy and vacation rentals at 67%, $268 the ADR there, and the RevPAR at 78. I did find it a little bit interesting that it was down a tiny bit in terms of ADR over 2019, but it is truly just a tiny bit, 0.7%. Ben's numbers, the nearly 2,000% increase over 2020 in passenger traffic for April, and that compares very favorably to 2019, down just less than 0.5% over 2019. So things are really recovering strongly, as you see, both in terms of visitation, occupancy at the hotels, and airport passengers. So for the calendar year to date for the airport, so that's the first 4 months of the year, almost 3.7 million passengers, and up 12% over last year. Still down a bit. You know, we did see January and February a little bit soft, so not a surprise there. But I think when we reported that number last month, it was about 29% down. Does that sound right? And so we're, you know, I think as we go through the rest of the year, we're going to see that number flip green as well. Definitely based on what we have coming in for July. So good numbers there. In addition to that, I want to, I'm going to have Brian come up and give you his marketing update. But before I do that, I want to share with you, we have a new staff member, and I am pleased to introduce Jason Beckman as our new marketing coordinator. He will be helping website and editorial content, maintenance and development, and he'll assist with the planning and logistics for events such as Island Hopper, Songwriter Fest, and the VCB annual meeting, among other duties. Jason comes to us from Lee County Parks and Recreation, where he provided educational outreach about the county's environmental conservation programs, as well as managing the department's social media pages. And prior to that, he was an assistant manager of internal corporate communications at Chico's. So nice, strong background on the marketing and communication side. He has a bachelor's degree in strategic communications from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And most importantly, Jason is an avid nature photographer, and the VCB has used several of his wildlife images on our website, our social media, and even in our visitor guide. So welcome, Jason. Jason, you want to stand up so everybody knows who you are? All right, Brian, you're on. I did. Yeah, and by the way, you know, that goes both ways. You might hear that later on here in a couple of minutes. Sometimes it happens both ways. Brian?
Good afternoon, Mr. Commissioner, members of council. For the record, my name is Brian Osaski, the marketing director for the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau, here to give you the marketing update. First, our crisis communication roadmap. Early on with the pandemic, I talked a lot about our four-phased approach to recovery during the pandemic and beyond. I think officially right now we're in the set phase. You know, folks are in the new normal. They're looking for an escape, and our role is to encourage them to get out there and explore, but it's probably more appropriate that this is sort of between the set and go phases, because we're encouraging them to explore, but we've taken a full funnel approach, right, from inspiration to conversion. We've resumed all of our summer and fall targeting tactics, and beyond just wanting folks to get excited about making travel plans, we want them to book their travel. And so while we're officially in the set phase, mainly because of our challenges with the international traveler, I think it's more along the lines of between set and go. Starting with summer, we took a balanced approach. This is usually the time of year where I talk a lot about our in-state drive audience, our regional drive audience. This year, obviously, is a little different. As you saw the numbers that Tam just presented, this summer is our new peak season, and so we took a balanced approach between drive and fly when it comes to our marketing investments. Some of the creative that we're working on. A great package with Expedia, which also crosses over to their other two brands, Hotels.com and Vrbo. We have a custom landing page, a video, some native content, and digital display, and my favorite, competitive conquesting. That means anytime somebody's searching for St. Pete Clearwater or Fort Lauderdale or the Palm Beaches, they'll get messaging for the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. We're targeting these travelers nationally based on their search activity. Just under 7 million impressions on the program that's going to run this month all the way through the end of September. The landing page mimics our brand campaign, Know the Feeling Right Now. We love this because we also have an opportunity to share not only, the greater destination, but the regions within our destination. When you scroll down the page, each region has a pod, each neighborhood has a pod, and then if you click into one, like Boca Grande and the Outer Islands, there's a specific landing page for that neighborhood, and then some accommodations. Matador Network, you may remember these guys. These are the ones that a couple years back produced the I Am the Sea and Beyond the Beach videos for us. They have a diverse generation of modern adventurers, as they like to put it, as their followers. They believe that travel is a force for good, as do we. This package includes a brand experience page, premium content that's produced, published, and distributed by Matador, and some Facebook posts, just over 1 million impressions. And this is great. 6 places to see incredible wildlife on the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and of course that is one of our storytelling pillars. As you scroll through, you see Ding Darling, 6 Mile, the Cape, the Great Calusa Blue Way, Lover's Key State Park, and finally Corkscrew Swamp Sanctuary. Another package that we have is with TravelZoo. We love this publisher, and we did something a little different this time with TravelZoo. We partnered with an influencer who actually came to the destination, had a lot of experiences that I'm going to share with you here in a minute. And then her name, Leah Shoup, she generated a story about our destination, and it appears on TravelZoo as a sponsored story. The video I'm going to share with you next, we have drivers to the story and video, and then also some cost per click sponsored deals. About 6.5 million impressions here. The story, discovering a different side of Florida. So not only do we get the coverage on TravelZoo, we also get to reach all of Leah's followers, and when she was writing about us, she shared things like, this was not the Florida experience that I was used to. It's much more than a beach. We had a wild time finding the wildlife. We were always discovering something new. And I would say that she packed a lot into the few days that she was here with us. Take a look. She did a great job. Great job. We love TravelZoo also because, again, much like Expedia, it's a lower funnel effort to convert people to book. And the last example for summer's probably one of my favorites, my team's favorite. The New York Times always delivers for us, and this time we took an entirely different approach. First time for a destination to work with a product like this with the New York Times. This was built around the sentiment that you have a feeling when a specific sound sparks your imagination and takes you places. And this piece includes beautiful visuals and also the sounds of the destination. It's custom content. We have paid placements across New York Times, podcast distribution in the daily podcast, which right now is one of the most popular on the planet with over 2 million downloads every single day. It has a print component in T Magazine's summer travel issue and several emails that also include some of our partners. Just under 11 million impressions. I'm going to ask Amanda Auer to pull this up for you because I don't think that screenshots will do it justice. I want you to see how people have the opportunity to interact with this and to scroll through. So this story follows the Smith family, who basically had a love affair with Sanibel Island for like 40 years. The grandmother, Elizabeth, a competitive ballroom dancer. Christina, the daughter, who's founded a production company. The son-in-law, Simon, a financial executive, and the daughter, Dylan, who's a student. All in this piece share their unique perspectives about Sanibel. Elizabeth and her husband first visited the area in 1973 and became Sanibel residents in 1979, where she lived for 40 years and didn't move back to the mainland until just 2019, a couple of years ago. So from our perspective, telling this story from a real family who've had authentic experiences here, coupled with the distribution that the New York Times affords us, this is a win. The metrics from what I've heard so far are going through the roof. And again, the product that shows the visuals, as well as the sounds of the destination is something that no other DMO has done, so we're really proud of it. Thanks, Amanda. So, jumping into fall. We are right now looking at promoting our travel period from September to November, in-state and out-of-state. You can see the average book to arrival windows there and the trip planning windows. That's the same. The media will begin in early to mid-July and run through the end of September. Now, for summer, I shared with you we had a balanced approach, 50% drive, 50% fly. We have shifted budget more toward fly as we head into fall. There's still a lot of people interested in driving to where they want to go, but we've seen the new routes opening at RSW. We've heard from the airlines and what their lift capacity is looking like, and so we're following the trends of how people are going to get here. So a look at some of those drive markets. A lot of these look familiar because they mimic a lot of where we targeted over the summer. The newest ones for us, Jacksonville, and then if you recall, we added Charlotte, Raleigh, and Nashville to our drive market list. Of course, they're out-of-state drive markets, but they're drive markets just the same. For fall, our fly market list also looks very similar to summer. And a lot of these destinations will look familiar to most of you because they regularly fall within our top 10 or our top 12. Houston is a new market for us in the fall, and you'll see also that I've included Los Angeles and Seattle on there with the optimism that Alaska Air will be bringing those routes back in the fall. We had a successful partnership with Collier, incidentally, on the summer flights from LA and Seattle, where we did some digital out-of-home in the airports, both in LA and Seattle, and I think that was helpful to the cause, but now we want to bring it back. You let me know, Carol, when those flights come back. All right. As far as how we're going to be reaching folks, this hasn't changed either. We've found a lot of efficiencies in advanced TV. So when you see broadcast on there, it's easy to think, oh, we're going to be running our 30-second spot on the evening news. It's still very expensive, and we found that we can reach a lot of people more efficiently through cutting the cord through connected TV. We do maintain broadcast or terrestrial radio as part of our mix. Streaming radio, much like television, is part of the mix, and we found a lot of success with podcast insertions, much like that one with the Daily at the New York Times I shared with you. Jumping now to digital, this allows us to highly target our audiences. We will have digital display, social media, and paid search across the board for all markets. So just some rapid-fire marketing news and projects I want to bring you up to speed on. You remember me introducing you to John Morris with wheelchairtravel.org. His partner workshop at the Calusa Sound Convention Center is coming up on June 23rd at 8:30 a.m. There's still time to register. It takes place in the morning, 8:30 to 11:30. You go to leavecb.com and you can register for both an in-person or a hybrid opportunity to hear what John has to say. So you remember he goes around to different destinations. He unfortunately lost several limbs in a car accident at a young age and was told he would never be able to travel again. And thankfully that's not the case. He will be helping us put together a destination accessibility guide for our new website. And before I move on, I want to share this. This is something John shared with us about this workshop. He said about 20% of Americans have some form of disability, and 63% are connected to someone else who does. This workshop helps our partners gain knowledge and tools to compete for the more than $17 billion spent each year on business and leisure travel by folks with disabilities. Again, it will be a hybrid event. Topics include key concepts of hotel accessibility, how to market accessible travel to disabled people, differentiating your business with accessibility beyond what the ADA requirements are, and what disabled people need to travel confidently. So Tam has asked our team to prioritize accessibility, and that's what we're doing, and we want to bring those educational components to our partners. So if you haven't registered, there's still time. We hope you'll join us and share this with your peers as well. Development is still underway on our consumer website. We're looking forward to rolling out a brand new website this fall. The SunSaver Passport is still going strong. Now features 70 deals with 6 new deals pending. We have had over 4,000 signups and 400 redemptions. And again, all tourism-facing businesses can participate in this program at no charge. Simply just reach out to Nancy McPhee, our product development manager, and she can put you in touch with the right people. The Threshold 360, this is the program that we're presenting to partners in conjunction with our sales team. Jen Walla on our sales team has taken the lead on this. This is the 360 virtual tours. Again, they're free of charge for partners, and we have plenty of openings if you would like to schedule something or know someone who could benefit from this. Incidentally, the 360 tours will be part of our new website, and the nice thing about this is that Threshold on our behalf pushes these tours out to Google, which increases our partners' search results. And I don't have the exact numbers here, but of the points of interest that have been captured so far, we are approaching 4 million 360 virtual tours already completed. And we haven't even reached halfway up the number of points of interest that we hope to complete. So certainly a positive program. Miles Partnership is our partner for our new visitor guidebook. If you recall, we are now in production with them alongside the website. We'll have our brand new visitor guidebook rolled out this fall. In terms of our co-op program, Tam wanted me to share this with you because we don't, I believe, have a meeting next month. So typically we roll out our co-op opportunities for partners in early August. This year it's sliding about 3 weeks later. It's going to be late August, early September, with co-ops starting in mid to late October. So more information obviously about that once that becomes available. And finally, Island Hopper. It's almost Island Hopper time. The dates this year, September 17th to the 26th. The countdown is on. We have kept momentum on Island Hopper going through Songs from the Sofa, where we have virtually presented a singer-songwriter from their home in Nashville and pushed it out on our social channels. I also did some cool songs from the sand along the way, but we've created a brand new Island Hopper website, and the mobile app for the 2021 edition of the festival launches later this month. And that is my report. Any questions that I can answer from anyone? Bill?
Obviously, Tam knows I'm not a big fan of Expedia or the .coms, but you know, business-wise, I mean, we're seeing them down 60 to 70% over 2019 right now. So the only thing I ask is just to make sure that you're seeing what the return on investment is on that. 'Cause I just worry that they're not strong right now at all. And I know a lot of people use them to shop and then go direct, and it's hard to track. But
That
seeing
doesn't
the
connect
numbers,
the dots as nicely, though, does it? When it,
but at our resorts, even through the summer, we're seeing them still 70% off because the consumer doesn't want to book through them right now.
yeah.
You know, the looking versus booking, and, you know, a lot of eyeballs go to that site, as you know, as they're doing their vacation plan.
Yeah,
So that's our, and believe me, if you know me well enough to know that we have these conversations internally all the time, but it's still, you know, a 500-pound gorilla, right? You know,
Beat them up and make sure they show you that you're getting your money's worth out of them, so.
Be sure to do that. Yes, sir.
thank you. We appreciate that comment, Bill. We hear you loud.
Going back to John, the pink shells, because of John and what we're doing with accessibility, we purchased a beach wheelchair that the guests can, use it complimentary, so just to advance our ADA side of travel.
That's great, Bill.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're looking forward to having John here. I think we'll all learn a lot.
And, you know, sometimes you have to take that hard look at yourself too, right? What are we doing well, but what can we do better? And having John in, that's part of the conversation. Not only, you know, what are we doing, but how can we do it better? So we're really excited about this. We believe it's a strong market, and honestly, all of us as we age, run into some of these, challenges. And I think that acknowledging that and understanding it, will benefit our destination for a long time.
It really opened my eyes up because, went down to the valets and said, how many times are we getting our guests renting a beach wheelchair? And they're like, well, every week we've got one here. And, the guests are paying for it. So, why not me go out and buy it and have it available to them? And maybe I get more business that they may not, go and stay at Tony's Hotel,
Well, I know that part of his conversation is going to be the things that he's looking for when traveling. And so, again, it's going beyond what the ADA requirements are to be very welcoming for those guests. Anyone else?
Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Sam, before we wrap up, I would love to ask just a couple of questions too. You gave us great information on the STAR report about how we did for the month of April. I know we've got some of the most plugged in people here around the table. What do we have any inkling as to how May performed?
I believe you're going to see, maybe not, obviously versus 2019 will not be as strong as April because we did reopen the hotels at the end of May. Some of them that had been closed, Fort Myers Beach, at the end of May reopened. April, everybody was closed, of course. But you're going to continue to see strong numbers. Bill, Brian, Tony, Rob, Fran, I think May has definitely outperformed May of 2019, correct?
Yeah, I think I said this a couple of months ago, that I think you're going to see May as another banner month compared to probably the best ever. I just got back from Visit Florida, and they're projecting air travel to Florida from May to August being up 15% over 2019 numbers. So, Florida is very hot. Obviously, our county is very popular right now. My worry right now is I'm short a little bit on staffing. They're running overtime. Usually we get to August, September, and everybody goes into renovation and let's take vacations. Right now I'm probably going to have the busiest August I'll ever have. So it's the fear of how do I get my staff to be able to get time off right now, and that's because it looks like it's going to continue through this year, and I think 2022 is going to be a banner year also.
I was going to say, so it sounds like the peak for our tourism this year will be over the summer as opposed to the traditional winter peak?
From occupancy, it will be just as strong. Average rate is probably, it's kind of apples and oranges because we charge less during the summer, but it's going to be a banner year. It's going to be extremely, extremely busy. I mean, July is going to be, I don't even know if I have occupancy available right now in July.
So already booked up.
Already booked.
Wow.
And just to add, Ben, I think Simone shared with me, she went to your most recent meeting, and I believe the numbers are for July. Flights into RSW is up over 50%, correct?
Yeah,
Compared to 19. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, Ben, come say
Put
this
you on
to
the
me real
spot.
quick, too, if that's okay. That way everything's on the record.
I may have it wrong. It was 60 or 65% up over July of 19.
Yeah, for the record, Ben Siegel. Yeah, so, the month of June, July, and August, our seat projections are all when you compare to 2019, up over 50, 60, sometimes even close to 70% greater than 2019. Now, when you start talking August,
Yeah, get shaky.
not as reliable as, obviously July, but, we're talking over 3 million more seats coming in this summer than 2019. Really, that's number one, in the country when you talk about increases in seat projections. I think the second is maybe Salt Lake. Either Salt Lake or Phoenix might be number two to RSW. So, so the fact that everybody's expecting to have a banner July, we're expecting to break records. We did in May. We don't have the final numbers, but we know we broke a record. We will in June, most likely, and expect to do the same in July.
Fantastic.
And breaking records, obviously, 2019 being the busiest for us, so.
So I would from my resort and where we stand, May was a fantastic month for us, much better than we anticipated. Not as good as 2019 because we rely on more group. We're a more group house than we are a transient house. But what was encouraging was in May is when we started to see the return of groups meeting and being not afraid to meet. So we started to see our first bigger groups coming and staying at the resort through June. We have them coming, and all the groups through the fall are going full steam ahead that didn't cancel, that are saying, we're gonna go through with our meetings now. So it's a very positive sign that people are looking to come back and start to get back to normal. I think with the numbers that you see through the summertime here too, you got to also take into consideration what's gone on in the real estate market here, right? You put a house on the market, you got to be ready to move out tomorrow because it's going to sell tomorrow. And so I think a lot of this too is people coming down and getting out of other areas to look for places to live and buy homes and all of that, coupled with the fact that, as I was talking earlier, you can't travel overseas still just yet freely. You can't go on a cruise just yet freely. So, it's still, I think, a question mark, although it's all signs pointing up. Still a question mark was what happens in the fall when all those things are open again and when cruises are going again and when you can easily get to the Caribbean or you can easily get overseas and people have bought their homes and schools are getting ready to start back up again. Will that demand, is there a little bit of flattening to the curve of what we've seen in that upward trajectory? And so that's what we're monitoring and keeping our eyes on.
And I'm curious, do you see the group business strong in the fall?
I do.
So that'll make up for some of that, perhaps, and I've been saying this in our office, pent-up demand, right? We're going to benefit this summer, no question, from pent-up demand, but what happens going forward, and especially what happens when U.S. citizens can travel internationally. But I think we also will get back some of our international, hopefully it's you lose some here, but you gain some.
Yeah, and I think just looking into future years, looking out to next year and the year after, a lot of group hotels, we took tons of cancellations this past year. They weren't really cancellations. People moved out into future years, and so we have a lot more on the books and pace than we had before in the past for future years this far out. And there's going to be more business looking to come in as well on top of that. So I think there's this backlog that's going to create a couple of really solid, strong years of demand for us until we kind of get caught up. It's like that rolling snowball is getting bigger and bigger, and now all of a sudden people need to start meeting again and start having trade shows. It's interesting because, you know, a lot of trade shows and a lot of meetings and events these days, everybody's saying, well, should we be offering a hybrid model that offers both come in person and offer Zoom for those that don't feel comfortable coming in person? Well, from our perspective, every customer that we talk to, they don't want us to offer them that option. Because if we offer them that option, some businesses are telling them, well, you should do the Zoom and you got to stay home and do the Zoom. And if more people stay home and do the Zoom, then the sponsors that they normally get to help them pay for these meetings don't come because they aren't getting in front of the eyeballs that they need to get in front of, so they can't pay for their meetings, or the meetings cost them more to do it. So they're telling us, don't offer that option. Make it so that they have to come because we need them here. We need them traveling, which is music to our ears. You know, we'll tell them all day long, sure, come on in, no problem. But it's just, it's a really interesting dynamic how things are shifting, and they're shifting still, week to week almost, still at this point. But definitely upward trends. The fall, I think, will be interesting to watch and see what happens as things open up. But the next few years, I think we've got some really strong times ahead of us.
Very good. Thank you.
And Commissioner, just to add one more thing, I think that, you know, we're going to have some people come to our area this summer that have historically come at other times of the year. This is a real opportunity for us to show them how great summer is here in our community. And hopefully, maybe they become repeat summer business and that we start to see our summer strengthening. You know, historically, our weakest quarter of the year is the summer. So I think it's a real opportunity for us. But I hear you're paying Bill with the staffing because I think that becomes our challenge, customer service, right, during that.
And just to piggyback on what you just said, you know, Canada is starting to open up around the 21st of this month. So typically, they don't come down during the summer. They haven't been able to travel for over a year now. So you're going to see Canadians coming down to Florida real soon, which is going to help even a stronger summer market.
It's amazing how hockey can open up a country.
Yeah, amazing, doesn't it? You can't play an American team unless you open up the country.
Don't tell the Canadians they can't play in the Stanley Cup.
To put one team in, that's why they did it.
As a play here too, I mean, I've had guests come who have not gone to the Keys because the Keys rates have been just off the charts. We've seen a lot of that. So I think, you know, we're holding rate, you know, and doing well with it. I still think we're very competitive. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, when you look at the star numbers, the Keys rate is, I mean, it's unbelievable. The change in ADR is mind-blowing. Absolutely.
Excellent. Very good. Anybody else, anything else for the conversation there? Excellent conversation. We're glad to hear that you guys are doing so well. And we look forward to continuing to support this as we go into a good summer. Very good. Well, at this time, then we'll move to the report of the Sports Development Director, Jeff Melke.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Council. Before I do our quarterly report, I'd like to share with you an exciting announcement. We were able to finally fill one of our two positions, which Tam is not the most happy about. Because excited to announce, most of you know Tommy Castle from the Visitor and Convention Bureau, worked out at the airport with Simone. Simone's not very happy with me either. But Tommy's a new member of our team as of about a month, so please give Tommy a welcome. So he spent the last month just being inundated with, we're all trying to get back to business. We've got a lot of travel coming at us. Normally, I would have given this report last month, but we were in our first conference, sports conference, that we all traveled back to since COVID. So it was good to get back into business development mode for us, and we're going to have a busy fall with that because a lot of the spring, as Mr. Kramer alluded to, a lot of the spring conferences were pushed to the fall, and the fall conferences are still happening in the fall. So we have a lot of work to do coming at us over the next 8 to 9 months. All right, so get to sports development update. So this is a January, February, March report. Next slide, please. So total room nights for 2021 January were almost 14,000. Total sports visitors of 18,000 people came to our community through a sports event. Direct visitor spending of 5.4. We had our slate of traditional January events. We had our two large perfect game events. The big one was the MLK weekend. And then we also hosted, for the first time ever, a USA BMX Nationals, which was in partnership with the City of Cape Coral Parks and Rec Department. And I got to tell you, it was the largest BMX Nationals in history, and they said, in Florida history. And they said that was a lot of pent-up demand. That was a lot of people who couldn't wait to get to Florida. It's the same theme, that couldn't wait to get to this destination. It's very forward-thinking. We're open for business. We're perceived as safe. And they saw by far the largest numbers in a BMX National that Florida had ever seen. So a huge success for our community and a huge success for the Cape Coral BMX Club. So you'll see our numbers were really good compared to past. And that 2018 is when we hosted that very large USA Figure Skating event, which was over 6,000 room nights itself. So really this 2021 January was one of the highest we've ever had. Going to February is more good news. 9,600 hotel room nights filled, 6,700 sports visitors, $3.2 million direct visitor spending. Roy Hobbs Sunshine Classic, you'll remember from the last report, the Roy Hobbs World Series in November did suffer some decline because of the older age categories, still weren't feeling comfortable traveling. So the Roy Hobbs event slipped a little bit, but they came back strong for his February events over 3 weekends, filled almost 8,000 room nights. And then Pro Style, which is another a fairly local baseball program, has been coming in strong. We're really proud of that partnership. We continue to grow that relationship, and so we hit a new mark in February, and we're happy about that. Now, to March, not the best of news compared to January and February. Only 2,200 room nights were filled with amateur sports events. We did have spring training going on during March. Low number, sports visitors 4,000, direct visitor spend just under $1 million. And the real reason, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that dip. The cancellation of the Gene Cusick Classic, which is a Lee County Parks owned baseball and softball college spring training, spring break teams come down. And that was 5,200 teams in 2019. I'm sorry, 5,200 room nights. So if you add the 5,200 room nights from Cusick to that 2,200, you're right at 7,400, which is about even. So again, that Cusick is college spring break teams that weren't allowed to travel this year because of their university and college protocols. They just weren't allowed to travel. So that product did not happen. What we do expect, we hope that it comes back. If it doesn't, we will find some other things to do in March. But you'll also remember that we don't actively promote March. We use bed tax dollars to go after sports events because it's high season. So if that's something that we need to start focusing on, I think that's a strategy discussion we can have a little bit down the road. We were really happy and thrilled to partner with Ben and the Visitor Convention Bureau, Pamela Johnson at the last Horizon Council meeting. We presented kind of what's happening, the recovery, our roles in the recovery, and I think it was a good chance for our business community to see how collaborative we all are, how we all work together. We're all tackling this challenge together and being fairly successful. So, if there's any questions?
What questions do y'all have? Yeah, Colleen.
Did you think that Gene Cusick might not come back?
It's questionable whether it comes back or not. I think Parks and Rec is confident that they are going to have most of their teams come back, but we're going to have to wait and see. A lot of the teams that do attend that are small colleges that have smaller budgets. They're Division IIs and they're Division IIIs. We don't have any Division I's big budget colleges come down here. They all attend this massive spring break event up in Atlanta and Orlando area, Polk County area. So we'll see, it's.
Because of their lost revenue, they may not be able to afford these things. Okay.
They may change. We're seeing the paradigm shift with a lot of college sports and traveling when it comes to colleges and the budgets they're spending. And you've seen a lot of college programs actually fold. They've dropped sports left and right because they just don't have the budget to support some of those non-traditional sports. So, so we're going to have to wait and see, but we're certainly keeping an eye on it. Anyone else?
Heading into the summer, Jeff?
What's that?
How are we looking heading into the?
We're looking great going into the summer. We're going to have a really strong summer filled with baseball, softball. We've got a couple new girls fast pitch products that are coming in called Premier Girls Fast Pitch, and so we think they're going to give us a nice little boost. So we're going to have a strong sports summer.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, then Jeff, thank you very much. And we will move to the for council information. Do we have anything, Ms. Pygott?
I do have a couple of things. One, at your setting are the details on Governor's Conference. It's also in the packet, but if you are interested in joining in on Governor's Conference, Fran will be reaching out, and Fran Velasco, sorry, Fran, will be reaching out to coordinate the details, but Governor's Conference on Tourism is going to be September 8th through 10th over at the Diplomat in Hollywood. I think we had it there. It's been quite a few years, but it has been held there before. And the early bird registration is July 14th, so we will try to save a few bucks and get everybody registered in advance of that July 14th date. So if you're going to join us, please respond to Fran's email. And then also in your packet, it probably isn't super easy to find, but it's on 119. There was a letter from U.S. Travel signed by a number of tourism destinations encouraging the president to develop a plan for the rebound of international travel. And there are some talking points from U.S. Travel around that in there. I wanted you to see those. Obviously, we didn't sign off on it because they always need these things, like a minute's notice, and we like to get your approval before we sign off on it. But I know we all are supportive of the rebound of international travel, but I did want you to have those details.
Should we have a mechanism or process in place where if you need something like that from us, that we do it, can we do it via email vote, or is that against the rules? Andrea? It's a public record. You can't meet that one.
So according to Andrea, our counsel there, that would be, yeah, if we were to get together via email and decide on something, that would actually be a meeting via email in a way, and against the open records, so, yeah.
Do you have to
Well,
have
not in the same
open
thing, but if you ask each of us individually, like, do you agree with this, right? Is that different?
Hit your mic and answer that one.
I'm sorry, no? Did you say no?
That would be a form of voting that way?
Would be,
A form of voting.
oh, okay.
So what they can do is get your consensus.
But no formal vote.
No formal vote.
But do you need a formal vote from us for things of this nature?
Fortunately, obviously, you make a recommendation to the board would then sign off
Okay.
on that,
Okay.
that recommendation. And so, sometimes it just happens too quick.
Oh, I've seen it.
We could certainly, if you like that, we could ask the chairman, maybe we sign off on it after the fact or something, but it is what it is. I just wanted you to have it, that's all.
Do you think there's an opportunity for us to add our names to that
we
list of
could.
support? Yeah, okay.
I think we could.
Well, feel free to, do you want us to give you direction right now that if the opportunity is available to add our support to that effort, that you have the authority to do that?
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. So what can happen is if staff feels the desire and need to do that, they can, and what they can do is come back and ask the board, the council to ratify it, and then send it to you all for ratification as well. We do that.
And as individual business people, we can accept.
You could,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And you could just take this letter and send it to the president yourself, correct? Absolutely.
And we can always lobby the council.
Yes, we are here to be lobbied. So, no, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously supportive of whatever we can do to bring back the international travel as well. I think we're certainly seeing a lot of benefits because we've got the best destination in the United States. So if people are going to travel, they're going to come here. And we're seeing that. We're excited about that too. So, thank you very much, Tim. All right, very good. Well, let's go to TDC member items. Let's start with Ms. Cronin. Anything for us today?
I don't have anything. It's been a great meeting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, Councilwoman Hassafras.
I'd just like to thank everybody for how kind and communicative everybody's been. This is my last meeting because we have to share with Sanibel. So I will be here unofficially in the future because I enjoy being with you all and I learn a lot coming here. But I just want to thank everybody for how friendly everyone has been and opening and welcoming.
Well, we've enjoyed having you, so thank you very much. Councilman McLean.
Nothing to report.
All right.
Just take your air service update with you because there's major good news on that little paper. And I would echo what certainly Pam said earlier about Ben being on the Special Airport Management Committee out there. I can't tell you how hard that staff works, and they are phenomenal. So I congratulate him also. And I think that's it. If you want a reservation at Red Coconut, don't come. We are
booked.
We're booked all the way. I don't even know how long it's. Our problem is what Bill is having. How do I rest my employees? You know, how do they get any rest? You know, how do they get a day off? It's awful. That part, but it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have,
Yep.
but yeah, it's one that we're hearing from every industry
know.
all over the
Yep.
place. Absolutely. Mr. Lappy, what do you got for us?
Couple questions for Jeff. She said, what's going to happen to Aaron Rodgers? And secondly, who's going to win the Stanley Cup? That's all.
Well, I think you'll see Aaron Rodgers on Jeopardy soon. Jeopardy host. The other one, no comment.
Mr. Wells, you got anything for us?
No, nothing this time.
All right, Mr. Kramer?
I have two things. One is we believe so much in what the future is going to look like over the next few months that starting Monday at our hotel in Coconut Point, we're going to be starting a guest room renovation, and we're doing a $17 million complete redo of all of our rooms, which we anticipate to be done by the middle of October. So we'll be going from a 454-room hotel to basically a 200-room hotel through a lot of the summertime.
Oh, wow.
And going through and creating an absolutely gorgeous new room that will be debuting in October. The second thing that I have is the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association's Lee chapter is partnering in June with the Sanibel Captiva Chamber for a great luncheon on June 17th with two incredible speakers. We have Samantha Paget, the FRLA General Counsel, and Dana Young, the President and CEO of Visit Florida, will be presenting, and they're going to be talking about updates on what's going on in hospitality and tourism and with Visit Florida. So it's a great opportunity to come out and hear what's going on, what's going to be in session. They're going to be talking about what's going on with Visit Florida. It's going to be at the Sundial Beach Resort in Sanibel, and that's Thursday, June 17th at 11:30. You can go to the FRLA website and you can sign up there to attend the luncheon, so please come out.
Very good. Thanks. All right, Mr. Wachulis?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Ms. DuPasquale? Nothing? Okay. I just had one last thing to add, just to let you know your commissioners are engaged and involved. This week, we received a visit in town from the Army Corps of Engineers. You may recall a couple weeks ago, our chairman sent a letter to the Corps of Engineers letting them know about our feelings on the first iteration of the Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual, the new one that they're coming out with.
And so that actually got a reaction from the Corps. They came down and visited with us and spoke with us about what their plans are and what's happening. I can tell you, in the lifespan of the manual, we're actually in a really critical time right now. They're going to be determining the framework by which we're going to move forward here on this Lake Okeechobee manual within the next month and a half. And so we let the Corps know that, obviously it's got to work on the timing of when these releases come to us. We don't need to be drowned by fresh water when we're already in the middle of our rainy season getting too much fresh water. We actually do need some during the dry season to keep our salinity levels right, and so that's maybe a better time to try and send some our way. And so they were very receptive to the message. They wanted to, make sure that we understood that they're really trying to create a plan that will give them flexibility to, if say there's a big algae bloom in the lake, not release water from the lake at that time and hold off a little bit. He said there should be more flexibility with a stronger Herbert Hoover dike than they currently had without that strengthened dike. So that, we've been operating under a schedule that was created in 2008, and so this is kind of the first review of that, or the first revamp of that. And this is really our moment to get better new management of the lake. So we'll be trying to keep everybody engaged. Yeah, Mr. Wills.
When is that dike supposed to be finished, the new one?
It was still on track to be towards the end of this year, finished. Yeah. Yeah, 22 is what they've always said, and I think it's going to be more towards the end of the year. But yeah, they're still on track. And he, Colonel Kelly, when he met with me, said he feels a lot more confident right now than he did a couple months ago about how things will go this summer. A couple months ago, they were really trying to get water. And so that comes from the county commission. You may remember back in 2018, we had the huge algae blooms, and I spent many nights on the phone with the DEP secretary and the governor at the time, and said, look, we need to come up with some technology that can help us get rid of some of this stuff. We tried, the commissioners, you might remember, tried AECOM as a pilot project to suck some of the algae out of the canals. So the Water Management District, to their credit, listened to us and did develop kind of a suite, if you will, of different products that they will try and are trying to, when algae pops up, to use to disperse or get rid of the algae. And so that's one of the latest tools that you're seeing there. And they've got kind of a playbook of different scenarios and different technologies that they'll try based on what the algae's doing throughout this year. So I think it's great, because obviously we want a natural system that's going to naturally fix this, and we want Everglades and water restoration that's going to be the permanent fix. But in the meantime, if there's some engineered solutions that can help provide relief to our folks, then I think that's a good thing. So, yeah.
I just wanted to add, I think, and there are other experts on this than me, is that the new LOSA models would have either came out yesterday or today.
Right.
But you almost have to be like a brilliant scientist to really understand. Like, you need somebody to interpret them for us, the lay people who don't do this every day. The other part is this is the time for public comment.
Yeah.
So I know that there's some chambers and some other organizations in our community have signed on to a letter to Colonel Kelly about what we would prefer living here on this coast and in Lee County and that type of thing, obviously. So know that there's some work happening. So if this is a passion of yours or you're interested, you should, I would say maybe even Holly or John Lai over at Sandcap Chamber or myself, we're happy to connect you with, with the letter that's getting written, or if you just want to, right now we're just waiting for that interpretation of what might have been put out and make sure that those models actually fit for us and things like that, because there's experts looking at it. But this is, I think it closes in the next several weeks, that public comment time. And then once this is put to bed, we live with this for 10 years. So.
Yeah, there will be, once they set the framework and select a preferred alternative, there will be a period to quote unquote optimize, I guess, the preferred alternative until they make the final decision of record. But this is the time where Lee County's got our Department of Natural Resources team fully engaged. And that was really something that was great for me to hear as a commissioner, that they complimented our team heavily. They said our team gives them specific feedback. They are well engaged in the project delivery team meetings. And so I wanted you all to know that this is something we're trying to be as engaged as possible, because we really do feel like this is our moment to change the direction of lake management for the foreseeable future. Like you said, potentially the next decade. So, yeah, very good.
Mr. Chair, can I just Just to add just real quick, I think the commissioner is being modest too, because I know many of you did the same, but the commission for years lobbied so hard to get the Hoover Dike repairs accelerated, and then of course understood immediately that that only helped if the operating schedule could be modified accordingly and give us that flexibility. So I mean, you guys are right, this is our opportunity. This has been years of hard lobbying in the making. So yeah, support your commission on this one for sure. Thank you.
All right, well, if there's nothing else for the good of the order then, it was a great meeting, great seeing you all, and I look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. We're adjourned.